7 signs you are becoming a toxic person. We devote a lot of time and effort to identifying the toxic individuals in our life. But how frequently do we also look within? The truth is, even the finest of us occasionally engage in harmful habits or behavior without realizing it. What toxic really means, how to identify if you are toxic persons, and how to stop being a toxic are all explained here. Who or what is toxic? A toxic person is someone who frequently engages in activities and behavior that cause harm to others or have other bad effects on the lives of those around them. They are typically the primary cause of a toxic relationship. Of course, acting toxically differs from actually being poisonous. The first occurs when we actively enjoy inflicting harm on others, because it is ingrained in our personalities. The second is represented by certain features of our conduct. Sometimes these harmful behaviors might control us without us even realizing it. Imagine it as a muscle that you are unintentionally injecting with metaphorical steroids, and before long, it will resemble the Hulk. The good news is, with a little self-reflections and asking for feedback from others, we can become aware of these habits and eradicate them so we can become a better people. Here are a few of the most common behaviors that even good people can develop that might actually be hurting those around them, as well as how to change course for the better. Number 1. You approach confrontations in a circumstantial manner. Conflict is unpleasant. We come up with strategies to avoid difficult circumstances because we prefer not to deal with them head on. But if you keep circling the topic and then cover up your displeasure with grumpiness, stubbornness, and subliminal insult, it merely makes things worse and escalate a small arguments into bigger problems. Passive aggressiveness is painful and not beneficial to anyone. Regardless of how persuasive our arguments are, or how angry we may be about what is taking place, it's a relational cancer. So how to fix it? Know that difficult conversations are scarier in our heads than in reality. We simply haven't had enough practice. The more you have these conversations, the easier they become. The rule of thumb you can subscribe to is to ask yourself, how can I say this in a way that is kind and useful? Number 2. You frequently use sarcasm. We have grown to believe that the brilliant answer that is made with wild laughter on a sitcom is a good thing, and perhaps even strive for that. People who lack the ability to be smart today tend to think that they are lousy, boring conversationalists, but in reality, what may be humorous on the Big Bang Theory is not always amusing when you are on the receiving ends. It acts. It's easy for this to be your default mode if you work in an industry that's all about acting tough and masking emotions, or if you grow up in a family where 99% of your conversations are sarcastic quips, "I told you so," or remark designed to one-up another person. People who only look for the negative can be incredibly draining to be around in the long run. The teasing, even a good jest, will start to feel like carefully cloaked animosity. How to fix it? We all know how terrible it feels to be the target of such remarks, especially when we are in a vulnerable state. So before you open your mouth, ask yourself, how would I feel if I were sharing something about my life or thoughts, and someone gave such a response? Number 3. You want to fix everyone and everything. Some of us are naturally rescuers and fixers. Maybe you have been trained to preempt and solve problems, or we unconsciously get drawn to similar relationships. To fix a dynamic we were helpless in when we were younger. Or maybe you simply love to provide solutions. But this is a form of emotional labor, and as the work piles up, so do our distress and resentments. Put simply, other people are not our projects, and just because we can solve a problem doesn't mean we should. The responsibility is squarely in the hands of the issue's holder, who may not even see there's a problem. So, how to fix it? Here's the deal. Sometimes people are not asking for solutions or even for a listening ear, but we unwittingly create a trauma from non existent wounds by probing. What we can do instead is ask, do you want to talk about it? If they say no, offer to be here if they change their minds. And if a person did not ask for advice, simply say, I have suggestions. Would you like to hear it? Additionally, recognize that you don't need to fix everyone. Learn to accept people's flaws. Help them when asked, and if necessary, withdraw from those relationships where the person's behavior are seriously affecting you in a negative way. There is no need for you to shoulder every single person's problems and accompany them all on their development journey. Number 4. You secretly craft disaster because of the care you receive from it. When we want to make a change, there are usually two sides of us in conflict. One side desires transformations, but the other doesn't, because it has something to gain from the status quo. Much as we hate to admit it, a part of us may enjoy the attention from the drama, and the subsequent pity parties withdraw. Tough times happened, and we got stuck in the Groundhog Day rut. A sign that we love the attention from pity parties is that we ask for solutions only to shoot them down. It's a way of opening a conversation with someone else, basking in their attention and care, and convincing ourselves we are seeking help. But things never shift. While this might feel good for ourselves, it puts a lot of strains on our friends who need to continue picking up after us. We should, of course, feel free to lean on our network when we need help, but constantly injecting negativity into their life just because we enjoy feeling the extent of their love is not fair to them. So, how to fix it? If you feel a part of your life has become a consistently deteriorating train wreck, where the majority of your interactions are centered around getting this attention, it's time to get it together. Commit to stop managing the problem and the symptoms to instead start actually mastering the situations by mastering yourself. Think about a time when things were good, when you were in control, and when you liked who you were, your integrity and your energy. Tap into how that feels and use the energy to propel your momentums and strategy toward finding that person again. Number 5. Everything is a competition. Telling someone how you went through a similar experience that they did is different from trying to show how you have had it worse. The first is where you show you resonate with the other person and use that empathy to connect. The second is competition. It's true that many people have been conditioned to have some sort of seemingly objective metrics of what's worse. We prioritize physical health ailments over mental health difficulties, and for anyone who appears to be living comfortable, we dismiss it with the label first world problems over someone who is in abject conditions. Sometimes we're filled with indignations if we have been through wars and think, how dare they? Or sometimes we genuinely believe someone is being weak and should just suck it up because we have done so ourselves. Importantly, we need to be aware of this bias and to realize that pain is not a competition. Regardless of a person's diagnosable conditions or lifestyle, pain is pain. When we try to convince them their situation is not so bad, we are effectively invalidating their experience.